We're ready.
All right, Monday, July 17th, 2023. I'd like to open the Tufton Borough Selectmen's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public input. Chris Rule, can you zap this thing out quickly for us, please?
You have to sit down if you want me to.
All right, we have a permit by notification for a limited public solid waste transfer station and recycling facility. I'm presuming this is our new permit.
Yes. And you can do all copy this. This is the new, easy to read version of the numbers. If this works for you,
All right, what I see here is that we need 3 signatures. 2 from Christopher A. Rule,
yeah,
and then 1 from me, 4. 3 from you, and 1 from me as chairman of the Board of Selectmen. You guys want to read through this whole?
What were the changes, Chris? Can you get?
but this is just,
No,
in the permit.
I'm in the permit.
That was my question too. Are there any changes?
I just had to specify our, we just had to specify the waste, the bulky waste, basically it's on, it's a little bit different, a little bit of a different form, but on one of these lines it shows you what we transfer out, but basically I had to specify bulky waste, I had to specify tires, I had to specify
So you-
electronics, I just had to specify a couple things that we did not have on the
Okay,
permit.
so you've reviewed that in its entirety,
Yeah,
and you are sure that we're compliant now? Anything that we take in, we're now permitted for?
and I'm working with Mark down there, so if there's a hiccup here, he'll tell me and we'll just fix it.
Okay.
So it's,
Is it your recommendation that we sign this?
yes.
All right, I'll make a motion that the chairman be allowed to sign this permit.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye, so be it. I shall sign on behalf of the town.
If this doesn't work for you guys, I can modify it.
All right, we can look at that.
No, that,
Yes, you don't have to look at that now, you look at that.
this is better.
Very good. Thank you for coming in, Chris. Thank
Well,
Before he leaves, Chris mentioned that a solution to part of his problem with winter maintenance would be for him to assume proprietary interest in the former police truck. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with him.
I'll cross that.
The pickup truck?
Yeah, I'll cross that off my list for selectmen's updates.
oh,
I don't know.
yeah, I was,
How would you use it?
I would acquire a plow for it, which I have, a line on several for free.
So that's only a half-ton truck, right?
I have one, we have one that's accessible to us through the Selectmen, and, yeah, it's a half-ton truck. The bed's rusty, but I think I have a little bit of money in the budget to put a bed on it. Yeah, it's a half-ton truck, but it'll be fine.
Are you gonna register it?
Well, yeah, I'm registered to the town, forget the plate on it. We can use it for training, we can use it to run the part of the store. It's only been used up there, so we'll be fine to plow with.
So I think we should open that discussion at some point in time before we sell the truck.
We will.
Sure.
Simple
Maybe
enough.
not tonight.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And there's another thing coming too, so. All right.
All I'm
Thank you.
hoping for is that you'll discuss between these
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris.
All right, next thing up is review of minutes. First, we have Monday, June 26th. There's some corrections here that I have. My first correction would be to go to the bottom of the first page. And it says, he added that he is doing math which appears to be obvious to him and apparently is not. I would change that sentence to read, he added that he is doing math which is, appears to be obvious to him and it is not obvious to Selectman Merrick, who made that statement. You got that, Cammy?
Yep.
Okay. Then I go to the second page, the 14th line down. It says, we are paying by the pound to get rid of it, so we need to pay by the pound to collect it. That should say, so we need to be paid by the pound to collect it.
To receive it.
What page?
Second page, 14th line. And you can change that to be paid to receive it, as Chip says, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Then we go down from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. It says, and if it is a real issue for these characters, we should change that to contractors. That was probably a spell check.
Or it could very
It-
well been me saying.
It, honest to
All right,
God,
I tried-
was not.
I tried to bail you out, Chip.
That's-
Okay, way down. Under Chris Sawyer, 6th line down. I should say that Chris also wanted to suggest that the selectmen install a camera with no L on the end of camera,
Yeah.
so that we don't need a camel for anything. And for me, that's all I came up with right away.
And Bob had a clerical error.
Page 3, under action items, third sentence from the bottom, adding that he is down an officer, not and officer. Got that?
Yep.
I think that's it.
All right, entertain a motion to accept as corrected.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, then we have public Monday, July 3rd. Nothing jumped out at me as being needed to be changed or corrected.
Same here. I move that we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We move to non-public on June 26th. And that looked fine to me as well.
I'll move that we accept these minutes as written and remain non-public.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of these remaining sealed or being sealed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. Now on to the more exciting stuff. Open the police station sealed bids. We have 2 bids.
So we had more.
Nope.
Well, there's something about thought and a cat, but I'm not sure all about that. First one is from Bound Corporation. Documentation's here. Bid price for this is $2,147,500. I'll pass that to you folks. Would you mind putting that back in the envelope when you actually check it out?
That was 2147?
Now you're asking me to remember 30 seconds ago.
21475.
500.
Sorry about that, but that's
No,
how
no.
bad it is. I can remember 1950, but. Next up, we have a very tough envelope to get into, from Bonnet, Page and Stone. With the proper paperwork, but I'm having trouble finding bid number. I don't know. Oh, here we go. When Chip's done reading, I'll present this.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Bonnet, Page and Stone has submitted a bid for $2,454,795. I'll leave that open this way. We also have the same AIA documentation with it.
So the contractor documents must be with Phil?
I would say so.
Did we exclude the liquidated damages? I didn't think that we did. I thought we set the liquidated damages.
We should have. Phil asked what we wanted to do with it, and we told him it was $100 a day,
Right.
With,
with the possibility for exceptions and circumstances beyond anyone's control.
right, with our ability to waive.
Right.
And I thought that that was a USDA requirement, not ours. We just had to set it.
Cool. So we didn't have more than 2 bids.
Apparently not.
I thought that we had another bid. Somebody said there was more than the 3.
Jack mentioned one, but
Yeah,
it's not here.
yeah.
Well, then, next step is we send it off to
Phil.
Phil
Mhm.
for review.
Right?
Yep.
And we'll notify you folks of any decisions made. But I do believe Phil told us that the FDA also has to approve the bid number. And they tend to,
That's what he told us, yeah.
yeah, that's what.
USDA.
Right, they have to, USDA, sorry, not FDA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some thinking to do for sure.
Yeah, he didn't think it would take him much more than this week to get that done.
Right, and we will be meeting again on the 24th. So hopefully by then we'll be able to get you guys some information, one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
It was nice meeting you. How many texts did you have that day?
Just 3.
I had 6.
No. Okay. They're out there.
They are.
They're everywhere. My wife is a wicked magnet for them. I send her first.
Clean out the bushes.
Thank you for coming in, folks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, we have correspondence.
Thanks.
Good night.
You've each seen the notification that the state received our application for the driveway permit. We have a letter from the Lochner's on Lang's Pond Road, basically reiterating all the concerns from a couple of years ago. I don't know if she gave that to you guys too or not.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was online.
Yeah, it was emailed, but I had
Yeah.
a copy made. You can read that.
I think it's probably time for us to review that file again because they're claiming that
Oh, yeah,
the
I did read this.
road
It's a right of way.
is an easement.
Yeah, right. It's no.
They're claiming that the public access is an easement, and it's not.
It's not.
So, I know there's a lot of legal wrangling that went on in the 80s over that.
Right.
And I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Jackie probably knows where it is.
Maybe even Susie knows where it is. She's good with roads and
Right.
the
Speaking
original
of-
stuff. Yes.
Speaking of,
Oh, look.
we were just talking
2 weeks
talking
is
about
walked
you.
in.
Were your ears burning, lady?
Lang Pond Road,
Yeah,
Hersey v. Tuftonboro.
yeah. 50 feet.
Right, there, and it's, the town of Tuftonboro has that access to the pond. It's not like a negotiable easement with the property owner or anything
Well,
like that.
the pond is within the 50-foot right-of-way, the edge of the pond. In a couple of places there.
Right, right.
Well, we're discussing a letter from the Lochner's that brings up what we believe to be inaccuracies in their understanding of just what the town rights are to the road and the little small beach. I guess that's the easiest way to put it.
Right.
But
And
they,
I don't think, to continue on that, I don't think the selectmen ever put a regulation against dogs at that beach. I think at one point in time the dogs came up and it was, we don't want them at 19 Mile Bay and we don't want them at Melbourne Wharf.
Right.
So I guess Lang Pond Road's the place to be.
Well, it's only up to your knees at best, right?
A few feet or so.
when it does go, it goes quick. But
Well, yeah, but-
that's where you take your little toddlers and everything, because you can pick them up quick when they fall in. Well, they're requesting with this letter a meeting with the selectmen, and we can schedule something once we do a little more research with it.
Right.
Cammy,
But it was fully surveyed before the whole
Right.
Hersey
I was
agreement.
saying before
Right.
you walked in that I know that there's a file on it somewhere because there was a pretty significant.
and I happened to mention that you being our roads expert probably knew right where it was.
Well, it should be in there in the drawer, but,
Okay.
Yeah,
or in there in those flat files, I don't.
We'll need to research it more
I mean, it
before we
could be
meet with them, but
downstairs.
I don't know how you wanna do it, Cammy, but don't let us forget. And should we respond to them with a note that let us do our research and we will talk with them? We're not gonna just ignore the letter, obviously. Or should we just? We'll leave it in the minutes that we will be in touch with them once we've done some research, please. All right, we got a letter from Caleb Pike talking about road damage in Tuftonboro. Apparently very minimal and every road's passable. Nothing to get too panicky about. It's not like Alton or 28 or anything like that. A little washout here and there in a ditch or a dirt road, but not bad.
You may wanna check the Beaver Dam on Ledge Hill Road, because that's getting pretty.
Yeah, I saw that
I
the other
already
day.
talked to him about it.
Yes.
Pretty
The
full.
answer was that he went there and he pulled some of he says the reason he can't pull the whole thing out is because the beaver will then go into the culvert and bring the sticks in the culvert, and then they'll have a big problem. So he's taken little parts out. At this point in time, Todd's wall is underwater. Stone
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
Well, you would know after all. You're the next
Wouldn't
door
I?
neighbors.
Yeah, we need to send our road agent to Canada. They figured out beavers up there.
Do we still trap?
Okay.
Do we still trap?
I can talk to
Yeah,
Dwight.
Dwight Pennell has been trapping for the town for a number of years.
Yeah.
And,
Is it okay if I talk to him? As someone that lives right there?
as a private
No,
citizen,
you could talk to him as a selectman secretary, but you can't talk to him as a resident.
I
unless you
can't
wanna
ask him
pay
to trap? Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, you could pay him.
yes.
Okay.
Moving on.
You have the town to pay him.
We have correspondence here from our attorneys
Nope.
answering a bunch of questions that we had about our grant of $100,000, a gopher grant for boat ramps, etc. And she's responded. And you're aware of this, Chip,
Yeah.
that you knew that. And
I mean,
so for the moment, pretty much it's in Cammy's court. And if she's got any questions, she can, I would assume, get a hold of you, because I don't know half of what this is talking about when it comes to
yeah, it's
government
just-
documents and whatever. And also, if we don't have some of these, apparently that's acceptable too.
Yeah.
We just have to say so.
Yeah.
But according to this, if we submit this, they'll do a sub-award for our signature, and we can have $100,000, which isn't too bad.
Well, we still have to get our grant enrolled.
We do. It does mention in here that this does have to go before the governor's executive council
Right.
before we get it. But it's another step, and I think it's a little bit of a prod to the council if they get an application for this. Maybe we'll get it.
No, but that's just for the boat ramp, not for,
Yes.
not for the wharf.
Boat
correct?
ramp and accessory property.
Yes.
So it can include some of the
Right.
wharf. Because you launch your boat, you can't just leave it sitting in the water. You have to
Exactly.
tie
It does
it
say
to something.
accessory property.
So
Okay.
Tyler's got a program going there.
Cool.
We have a correspondence and a whole big document from Selectman Murray to Selectman Chip Albee.
I read that online, and
Yep.
I'm thankful that you printed it. There were no dates, so I was going to, I ran out of time today, reach out to the sender for when those dates were gonna happen. You know, they're saying sometime in the future.
Well, good, you can keep that.
Yeah, I've gotta come back in here this week
Right.
and do some work.
We have a brief letter from Max Ledoux talking about some of the incidents and speeds that he has up his way and wondering why the Tuftonboro Police Department does not enforce the speed limit on Durgan Road
Or Ledge Hill Road,
or many roads,
or
any road.
Middle Road.
So we share his concerns, and that's all I can say about that at the moment. We also have a letter from Mrs. Michelle Souza that has some concerns, and they're gonna come in and talk to us about that, according to this letter, on the 24th. And you've both seen a copy of the letter. I'm not gonna read this whole thing, it's a long letter.
It's
It's
about,
about what they consider to be illegal removal of signs by a selectman.
oh, okay, I thought that was resolved.
Well, everyone did, but apparently not.
They want their pound of flesh.
Seems that way. We'll talk about it on the 24th.
All right.
All right, correspondence, selectmen's updates.
Well, we talked about the truck at the transfer station, which I don't
Yep.
think is a bad idea. I don't think my billion-pound plow would work in a half-ton truck, but he's glad to have, he can have it, just to get rid of it.
Right.
We talked about this solar grant money.
Yes.
Which I'm gonna follow up on Wednesday.
Yep.
Do you hear Wednesday, Kenny?
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm here every day.
There you go.
All right, so I'll come on Wednesday to handle that.
Yep. No, I think if the truck will be useful, keep it. Keep it in town.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I mean, we've already paid for it.
oh yes.
You know, maybe it makes us money hauling aluminum cans to the aluminum place. I don't know. But I think we should give Chris an opportunity to present his case for keeping it
Yes.
as opposed to just selling it.
Certainly before it
Because we're not
goes
gonna
up.
get anything for it when we sell it,
No, it may end up being so useful that it actually does save us a bit, and that'd be good.
Yeah.
And we already own it.
And I've had more than we read complaints about speed. And I'm looking forward to the next time we have our police chief here, but he needs to be aware of it.
Definitely.
And I also spoke with Cammy about the federal grant money that's kicking around for disaster relief.
Yes.
And I'm not sure whether Jim has done anything with that, but there's some money around for flooding, and he spent an awful lot of money putting the edges of roads back together.
Right.
I
don't know
did forward
what-
it to him.
I'm sorry?
I forwarded it to him and CC'd all of you
Right,
on it, so
yeah.
you
I
knew.
saw it. And it is it's his purview, basically. But
Right,
we need to kind of make sure he applies for anything we can get at this point.
right.
And
I don't
even
know
though
what this last storm did.
apparently not too bad,
Yeah.
according to the letter from Captain Pike, so that's in our favor if nothing else, but really makes it tough to do anything.
Yeah, because we're getting another one tomorrow.
Right.
They just keep on coming.
Doesn't, and if they couldn't get out of Vermont with our truck last week, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna be able to get out of Vermont this week either.
All right, that's about it for me.
Bob, anything interesting?
No, other than my sign action.
Okay,
Um,
well,
As long as you take responsibility,
Well, I did.
I'm happy.
I did.
All right.
I did, and I'll be brief and to the point. Yes, I did remove some illegally placed signs from someone's property. It was beyond my purview. I did it as myself, not as a selectman. I just went and did it. I was wrong. I made amends with the homeowner. We shook hands at the end,
And they're coming to see us.
and they're coming to see us anyways. So, yep.
all
You're
right,
up next, buddy.
yeah. All right, I had a phone call from Mike Carlton, who was interested in selling us a piece of property up by the transfer station. Mike has made it quite clear that he doesn't intend to spend any money on surveying the property so that we know exactly what we're getting. We should be able to do that on paper, and until we make an offer, he's not gonna spend a nickel. I don't personally know how we can make an offer without physically knowing what we're buying. Paper subdivisions, in my opinion, have not been particularly beneficial to the buyer, but
Well, if we stipulate 15 acres, which he's saying that it is, then we're buying 15 acres.
well, then we have to get it assessed so that we can give him an estimate.
Right, I think our assessor needs to take a look at that piece.
Absolutely.
See what the value
I
is.
just wonder, and he knows where the border is.
She's dying.
I would take some input from Sue Weeks.
I think there may be some survey information on that in the planning board files, because I think Teresa's lot might have abutted it, or, not Teresa,
It's
Yeah.
way down at the
MJ?
end,
way down in the back.
Yes.
at the bottom.
What about all the tests we've had with They didn't have surveys they were working from, all these scientists that are testing the effluent down there?
I don't think they actually did a survey. I think they, looked at the meets and bounds that we have with the transfer station property. And I'm sure they went beyond that for their testing, but they only did it for scientific
Well,
reasons.
we can ask the assessor to do the best he can, I suppose.
Well, would he know where to look here for stuff?
The assessor?
Yeah.
Sure, he's the assessor, he knows what he's doing, I hope.
I had no idea.
I mean, I don't think, I think Mike would have told us about a subdivision if there was one, because he's talking about having the town buy the 15 acres down at the bottom, adjoining the transfer station, and then creating 2 lots on the road, on Mountain Road, and then the pit that's in the middle, he's got some local contractor that wants to buy it. So I think that's his game plan that he described to us.
He wants to sell us the back
Yeah,
piece.
What he
So-
refers to as the back 15 plus or minus acres.
yeah, it's,
And it's on map 32-2-5.
right.
So the assessor should be able to pull up that map, right? And then see the shape of it and say, oh, it's the back, and we tell him, yeah, that's the back.
Yeah, we,
However, you get 15 plus or minus acres out of that. I got his letter here.
I've got a copy of the map,
Good.
so on Wednesday when I come in, I'll make sure it gets put in the assessor's file.
All right. Then why don't we consider that horse
Yeah,
beaten right to its knees at this
What,
moment?
is that a map of the transfer station?
it's a map, this is a map of Carlton's land. So it goes from Mountain Road down to Fred Sargent's old piece. We
You're welcome
bought
to-
that, that's.
Yeah.
You're welcome to look at it.
And this is the one where we have the effluent, right?
There's effluent everywhere, but that is a,
Where they do the testing every year?
they test the whole transfer station.
There's
all the way
multiple
around.
test drills.
Right,
Right,
so it may not be down because Mike Phelps is in between.
um,
Never walked down in there, so I don't know.
this piece here,
Well, Mike's here, John Hurst is
yeah,
here.
Mike, I think conservation picked that up too, but I know they got this one. So they picked up some pieces from various landowners.
Shouldn't be too difficult to figure out 15 acres there.
It shouldn't be where it's all kind of rectilinear.
Well, let's let the assessor do his job and we'll see what comes out of it. Then we can talk to Mike again.
Right. All of the transfer, and I'm gonna say this every time I talk about the transfer station. All of the transfer station is tested annually, and the test results are reviewed by DES. All of the information that you're hearing online at the Tufton Grove Forum or wherever is apocryphal. There is no scientific basis for anything that's on there. So if you want the true information for what's going on at the transfer station, closed landfill, you have to come and see the scientific evidence.
I haven't read any of that, so I don't know, but
Okay.
I
That's
thought
what
we
I
were
thought.
doing some testing on adjacent lands, not just on,
Right. But we do that, yeah, on a regular basis. It's just that we have run into some noise about, we're not doing anything, but and I thought that's what you were referring to.
No.
We are doing things.
no.
All right. And in a much more exciting adventure, Chris Gruhl and I met with a representative from Fairbanks Scales last Tuesday. And I have some brochures and information here for you fellows to read at your leisure. You could probably leave those right on the Cammie's desk and we're going to sign checks or whatever, and you get plenty of time on those days, however it works out for you. But the proposed location for the scales is ideal for this particular type of scale. It's a very simple beam type scale. There'll be no rampage or anything like that to get up onto it or off of it. It'll be mounted literally flush to the ground. It's called a pit scale. So there would be about a 5-foot pit underneath and with a concrete, reinforced concrete slab and all the scale. It's a beam scale, mostly mechanical. The idea of monitoring what happens would be not neon, but a lighted sign on the gable end, the far gable end of the building, around where the glass is. And X and O would be the signals that, go, don't go. There's not gonna be anything, colorblind people won't have to worry about that. There'll be a display right there, and it seems
So
very
it's gonna be
simple.
right against the building?
No, it will be set out farther, about midway in the pavement.
Okay.
Because Chris said at some point in time, and it's been talked about, we might want to put a lean-to style cover over that, in that area. But it would be high enough so that the display would be low enough where a man could see it. The man is going to write up a proposal for us, which includes everything, including training of the people, which is very minimal, believe it or not. What we would be responsible for is getting AC power, single-phase AC power to that gable end of the building, and a little bit of paving around the pit when they installed it. But other than that, it would be flush to the ground, plowable, everything
And
quite.
where do you read this, where do you get your printout? Is it in the office?
Yes,
Okay, so it's a
yep. Be very simple.
transmission or whatever.
One thing he mentions, they're a very old company. He says they've had one scale that isn't digital in operation since 1899. That's quite possible. He also mentioned that Alton installed a set of scales, and he thought that they had paid for themselves in 2 years. But I haven't been able to get a hold of the superintendent down there to get real figures yet.
Well, you can pay for it in 6 months, you just gotta charge outrageous fees.
Right. But without doing that, it sounds very promising. Let's put it that way at this point in time. And he's going to get us a proposal together, as I say, and we would have to provide that power.
And is there licensing from the state that we have to go through?
That will be included in his proposal to get everybody up to licensing. And it's one of those online quick, the deal kind of things that they go through. So,
Right.
not complicated,
They just want your money
right?
and an annual weights,
Probably an annual update,
weights and bounds.
like everybody
check.
does, for all their permits and everything. It seems good. Obviously, money's always the issue. We'll see what it's going to cost, but
Right.
it was a good meeting. And nothing on the scale, according to him, including the electronics, will be proprietary.
That's a plus.
He did say that they do manufacture their own electronic stuff in Vermont. So everything we're going to get is going to be American made, American installed, but it's not going to be proprietary, so we might not run into the same problems we have in the past with heating systems and things in the fire station. So we'll have to wait until we get his.
And what was, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, what was the price?
He didn't give us a price yet.
Did he give you a range of prices?
No.
So when is the price gonna happen?
It should come when he gives us his proposal,
Okay.
and hopefully by the end of next week we'll have it. He wanted to get back and get on it as soon as he could. He was concerned about the soil underneath, and we were able to show him, or the area. It's not going to be solid ledge or anything like that. But it's a very simple scale. There'll be 3 manholes where someone could go down in there to work on it if it needed it. But he seems to think that Fairbanks is a very reliable system. Should work out well for us. But we'll see.
Would we want to consider as part of our discussion of a camera back there? Keep an eye on what's happening on the scale.
We could do that on our own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that it's totally necessary. It's not exactly like we have a camera over at the C&D dumpsters, for example,
No, I know.
which is probably a better place for it at this time.
Whether we do or don't, we should at least just have the discussion.
Oh, sure. But I'd like to see his proposal before we go too much farther into it.
Yep.
Sounds like fun.
Yep.
So that sits up on top of the ground.
Yes, that one does, but this one is going to be a pitch style. It's totally flush with the pavement. Much easier to maintain and easier for people to drive on and off. They do all kinds, so that was one of my selectmen's updates.
Did you guys talk about in the winter, snow and ice buildup?
Yes.
Either around it or under it?
Plowing it should take care of it according to him. if it needed to be salted for any reason. I don't think we would, to be honest with you, because of the mechanical issues inside. I don't believe salt would be a good mix with the cast iron pieces that they use.
Right.
And typically, we do slow down on C&D in the wintertime, which is a nice thing. So it was a good meeting. Seemed like it was, definitely worth doing, talking to him. So we'll see what he comes up with. Complaints about the transfer station limitations seem to have died down, at least on my end. What I get from the boys at the transfer station is no one seems to be complaining too heavily about the way things are going right at the moment, which is good. I did have one fellow complain that the board is more interested in C&D than we are in infrastructure, which is not true.
Which infrastructure are we?
Roads in particular, and the way they're being maintained and not maintained, ditches, the way they're being maintained and not being maintained, runoff. Well, the most recent events have been huge rain events, of course. That's really heavy on everybody's mind. But that's all I have. Sue, did you come in for a special
No,
purpose?
I was gonna do some other stuff in there, but I got so interested.
We are compelling, aren't we?
I noticed the other day that in the evening, they mowed Ledge Hill Road and Dame Road at dusk and into dark to get it done before the next day's rain. I was
But it looks
impressed with
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're trying hard. Oh, the tree that Chris Sawyer mentioned in her visit has been taken down.
By weather?
No, by our road crew.
Oh.
I came across from the Highlands and Brown Road and had to wait for them to get out of the way the other day. They were out there and it was down. So that's gone, one nice little issue. So she should be pleased with that and everybody will be safer. All right, if there's no further things to be discussed or hashed over, I'd call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those bids are not encouraging.